We're going to start off with Kevin Gilboe. Kevin is the head of global design for the Consumer Business Group up at 3M. He leads a rather remarkable international, multiple award-winning team. They're all involved in consumer experience and design. Their exceptional work in brand and innovation work. Prior to joining 3M, Kevin led the global design team for KitchenAid, for the KitchenAid brand at Whirlpool. He's one of our own. I'm really thrilled and delighted and honored that he did his Master of Science here in the Master of Product Design and Development program. He got his Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Industrial Design from the University of Michigan. He's been a terrific supporter of Northwestern and of education in general. He sits on our own MPD board, and he continues to lead educational seminars. So welcome, Kevin.
Thank you, Walter. Can everybody hear me all right? Awesome. Well, good evening. This is such a treat to come home, if you will. It's been frighteningly long, 7 years since graduating from MPD 4 in 2007. And as Walter had started to say, there's been a lot that's happened since then. I've had the opportunity to really design, if you will, for a company that really hadn't gotten to know it before. So that's the story I'd like to tell you about tonight, is design at 3M and the entrepreneurial journey that I've gone through to take it to where it is. So let's talk about 3M just to ground the discussion a little bit. It's a company that was originally founded in 1902, so it's 112 years old. With that, I'm sure you would expect it's got a very durable, robust culture. The business plays in almost every sector of global commerce and industry. So consumer, which I focus on, is only 15% of the company. The rest is focused on industrial or safety and graphics, electronics and energy, or healthcare. And in total, comes to $31 billion in sales. And most of that, actually 2/3 of that, is outside of the U.S. So we have operations in 70 countries and we sell in over 200. So it's a phenomenal place to work. And really the core of 3M is the technical depth of 3M. So it's a materials and technology company at its core. We have 46 different technical platforms, which we have world-class expertise in. So if you think from an innovation perspective, I really like this chart, because this is a recent study done by Booz & Company of the top 5, that we are in the top 5 innovation companies in the world. This surveyed the top 1,000. So 3M really deserves to be there because of the role that we play in so many different industries, empowering creativity and building opportunity for new breakthrough innovations. Now, the role that design plays in all of that is really to take that incredibly powerful core to another level and create access to different markets, different opportunities that might not already just exist based on technical efficacy alone. So we like to think we inspire and we enhance innovation within our company. That in itself creates tremendous value for customers, whether it's in architectural markets and we're thinking about different ways to light or texture a space, or consumer markets where it's all about building new capability in the home, solving problems for people, whether it's at work or at home or at play. Or, for example, into textiles, if you're thinking about Thinsulate, or the roles that we can play in garments and bringing new fashion in a way to life. One of the things I love about this example, just really quickly to touch on it, is here's where we go to a fashion school with our technology for installation, and we ask, bring it to life in a way that's meaningful to the designers of our customers. Creates a completely different conversation than otherwise might happen. Or simple things like this. This is bringing delight to the home. So a complete collection, almost like a candy store, if you will, of products that formerly just, solve things like taping something together or jotting a note down, to crafting, to expressing yourself, to being creative. So again, providing tools for creativity. So that was a little bit of the what. This is some of the how. This is one of our new facilities. We've just opened, really in the last few years, a beginning network of design hubs. These are centers where we bring together multiple skill sets and disciplines, different types of design, whether it's graphic or brand or product, user experience, etc., into one place where they can collaborate in a very open and natural way. And so it's not just a U.S. company. Again, it's a very global place to work. And so it's really fascinating to have the opportunity to collaborate with people worldwide, whether they're in Asia, Latin America, or Europe. It really elevates the quality of the work that we do. And so that in itself is one of the secret sauce, if you will, elements to design at 3M, is the collaborative culture, the collaborative nature of our company. I love this picture because this is an example from our Global Summit where we bring all of the designers together every year just to get to know each other and work on programs, in this case, Design for Social Impact. And what you see here is an industrial designer from Korea working with a brand design manager based in the US and working with a user experience and interaction design specialist on a program for social impact. It's very cool environment that energizes creativity. I love it when proof points like this is an Italian design magazine picking up on our culture, and you don't need to read, you don't need to speak Italian to really read and get the point of what it's all about here. And what I love is that the picture is actually not from our European office, it's actually from Tokyo. And there's different scenes here of different kinds of products that we have worldwide, whether they're in commercial products or B2B or just simple dispenser, around the home type items. And so with that kind of collaborative engine, we have the capability now to start to connect directly to customers and to the design teams in our customer organizations and begin to talk at a completely different level about what's possible. So it's no longer engineer to engineer talking about the performance of a material. It's about opportunity in a much broader sense. It's a very, very cool and energizing thing for both us and for them. So that's the quick story for 3M, and we are on an amazing growth path right now, and we've just launched a website, 3m.com Design, to really help to tell the story and to get the word out about what we're all about and where we're going. And so that's today, okay? And again, the title of this whole talk tonight is really all about entrepreneurialism, and so I think it's important to show you where we were. Where we were. This was 2011. And the chair on the lower left there, right, the colors don't necessarily render, but right over my head here, that was where I sat when I joined the company. Now, I did this deliberately. So when I was at MPD, I worked for a company that had a very evolved design ecosystem. And in that context, I learned a lot about the nuts and bolts of design management and how to make design work in a large Midwestern-based multinational. But going to 3M, the big opportunity was to get in at the ground floor to build a capability that really didn't exist at the time. So at the time, they had the Consumer and Office Business C&OB Design Center next to key accounts and HR, and the pet and animal care business. It's a starting point. I got to say, and these are great people too, and all of them, from a design perspective, are still with us today. The problem is we just didn't have enough of them, and we didn't have them structured in a way that was functionally driven and set up for really taking design as a practice to a whole other level. And so I showed you the end state, and that was the beginning state. And in the time that we have today, I'd really like to condense down to 3 big takeaways from the whole process. So one of them was very relevant at my previous company and absolutely instrumental at driving cultural change at 3M, and that's the quiet power of space. So think about the room that we're in right now and how you feel about where you are in this room. I think you intuitively know that if you were to get up and go to a smaller room or a different kind of space, you'd feel a little bit different. And that's that sort of quiet effect that the context that you're in has on how you are, how you think, what you're thinking about, and so on. So one of the things that's really hard to communicate is anything about design, frankly, because we're touching all of these different aspects of whether the product looks better, functions better, etc. So you have to have a space to bring it to life. The problem is if the space doesn't exist, what do you do? Do you just say, you know what, we need some money, or do you roll up your sleeves and clean it up? So one of the first things to do there is candidly the powerful act of creating space for people to work. And so here's an example of literally cleaning out a space to create an environment where we can tell a broader story about the destination and opportunities for one of our consumer brands. Okay? Now, sitting individually with a business leader and trying to convince them point A to B on all of the things to think about, whether it's product or brand or packaging or et cetera, right away you create all these off-ramps for that conversation. But taking the time to build that 360 environment where the entire big picture can tell the story is incredibly powerful. And it scales from there. So that basic practice has formed the starting point for our new facility in terms of just creating areas where we can collaborate in a very broad way with our peers in business and R&D. And so there it is. It's a collaboration center. Without it, we don't really have design. We don't have the right ecosystem and the right context for design. The second lesson is around positioning, and this is around explaining what design is. So services can be purchased. Any organization can go buy what they need from somebody. But when you talk in terms of building competency within an organization, that's when it really turns into a really compelling executive conversation. It's about how do we differentiate our strategic advantages versus other competitors. I like to say to my team that, our senior management are used to hearing, people come to them and fight about resources or turf all day long. But when we talk about how do we elevate the capability of the organization, it's a completely different story. And so these are areas that are really important to design, whether it's insights fueling what we do to make what design does appropriate to markets. Again, we're not in the business of art. We're in the business of sales and commerce, so oriented to the customer is crucial. To brand and innovation, so the identity and the theme of the product to its efficacy and what it does for you. Now, if you look at these areas, it's very easy to find the services in design that you need to move these forward. So if you're concerned about brand, if you're in brand management, you can go find somebody to design the copy tone or the typography, the look and feel of the package, campaign, etc. And if you're in innovation, if you're thinking about new product development, you can find the skills to storyboard and create a full product experience. And this is often where it stops within business. Just buy what you need when you need it. But when we build a competency around design that's a creative bridge between brand and innovation, suddenly a lot more is possible. And with that, this is a quick snapshot of the model at 3M that I've been driving, which is bringing together a holistic design team led by holistic design perspectives for each of our businesses, supported by capabilities that need to be efficiently organized in their own way. So for example, art production. In streamlining the process of going from creative intent through to print, we have saved the company millions of dollars, which helps us to fund more capability in the upstream, and so on and so on. So that's the model, and here's a quick example. So up on the upper left there, how many people, show of hands, would say in the room, that is the most inspiring product that you've ever seen? I expected this. All right, so and it's an example of a different structural approach to design, where the product is designed separate from the package and they get glued together at some point before they go to the marketplace. When you bring together capabilities in product design, brand design, graphic design, towards the same problem and ask them to work together, in fact, get them to sit next to each other, a lot more is possible. And by the way, it doesn't cost any more to do this from the perspective of it's a more expensive product. So what's going on here is we have succeeded in repositioning a product and adding a lot of value just by working more effectively. The third lesson, and this is the final point, and it's a brief one, but I think it's the most profound, is that none of this happens without progressive business leadership. So there's a perspective out there that you can hire design or buy design and just get somebody in the company and everything works out. The reality, it doesn't work out at all like that. This is an example of what I like to call as a cultural artifact. This is a book that we did at 3M to explain what design meant to the company, to business leaders around the company. And this is, so managing directors and international, other leaders, basically to introduce why design matters. And it was absolutely critical to have this coming not just from me, but from executive leadership. So this is my boss here, who is also the leader of the consumer business of the company, to say what does design mean for 3M and help us to build this at a much bigger level. If it was all about design by itself, design will only go so far. I think another good example of this is when we talk to customers externally, partnering with communications to get the word out that design is a new part of our way of talking with our customers. So we've gone in this process over the last 3 years from being a back-of-house anonymous perspective or capability for customers to every time we talk to a customer, design is a part of the conversation. It's a huge shift. That doesn't happen by us alone. That's business intent, business leadership. And so I think a lot of people intuitively know this, but I think it's worth saying again and again and again. Design is everyone's job. Executing great design is, in a sense, the same mission as being a leader in the marketplace. So we're off to a great start. This is not the end of the journey. We are in the process right now of scaling what I just showed you, which is a consumer-centric view of design, which again is 15% of our company, out to the other 85% to take the company to a much cooler place. That's all.